Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful Thursday episode of the On Air Advocate. We're at the On Air Advocate. We look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited that you guys are joining me and Stephanie here this morning. Or if you are catching it on the replay, thank you so much. Now, as you know, at the On Air Advocate, this whole entire month, we are celebrating Autism Awareness. And so this is another layer into that educational aspect and support within our community here in the Waukesha area and in Wisconsin. I'm so excited to have on Stephanie Mauck. Stephanie Mauck is the founder and administrative director of the Wisconsin Independent Learning College. We are going to hear today about her journey with her son and what led her to establishing this wonderful college. So welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Tammy.
You're welcome. I'm excited to have you and hear all about the school and kind of that journey as to how you got to that point, because obviously you just didn't decide one day, hey, I'm going to open up a college.
Exactly.
So you have a son, and how old is your son that has autism?
So Rob is 25.
He's 25. So this has been really a couple decade journey for you.
Absolutely. It's amazing how when you think back when they're small and you get that autism diagnosis and all of those kind of things, and where we are now, where he is, you know, the gains he's made and the fact that he's out working and doing all sorts of, you know, cool things. It's really amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Now, when he was born, did you guys know right away that there was something, you know, that wasn't quite right? Or was it a succession of as he got older that you saw some, you know, differences and some challenges appearing?
So everything seemed normal at birth, and he seemed to be progressing on the normal scale, whatever that is, you know, but he would never sleep well. He would get up and scream and different things, but Rob was our first child, so we didn't know any differently, you know. That is hard. So we didn't realize, you know, anything was going amiss, and we talked to the doctors, and he never got any language. So that was one of our big things, is he didn't really have any expressive language. He was always on the later side of normal with the crawling and the walking. But again, our pediatrician was like, oh, boys are, you know, take their time and all of this. And so we also moved up to Wisconsin when Rob was 4 months. So moving to, you know, people were like, oh, you changed his environment, you moved and all of that. And so I'm sorry, we didn't move to Wisconsin at 14 months. We moved to Texas. That's where it was.
It's Thursday. I say this whole week, blame everything we don't know on the snow.
Yeah. So we moved from Rochester, New York when Rob was 14 months to Texas, to Plano, Texas, outside of Dallas. So there we were. And so it was very interesting because he didn't have any language, and he continued to have screaming fits, and also he always had explosive diarrhea, and he had a lot of different issues that we didn't know anything about. We just thought, oh, he's just a little different.
So when you were in Texas, did you seek out, because obviously you had to change pediatricians and things like that. Was the pediatrician there? Were you seeing, you know, were they seeing anything different? Did they advise you in any other way?
They didn't. Our pediatrician in Texas was very laid back. He kept saying, oh, it'll be okay. He's just, you know, taking his time. All of that. We did get him into early childhood at 3. We were blessed to be able to have him at our church in a Kids Day Out program when he was like 2, which really kind of, looking back, you could really see the differences then, but we didn't know. He was our first. And so we went through the process of diagnosis down in Texas, and it was a little different than a lot of people. We did it through the school, and they had a multidisciplinary team. So they had a psychologist, a speech therapist, an OT, a PT, all
Mhm.
there to do the evaluation, and they did it right in the early childhood classroom. So rather
Okay.
than taken out into a clinic or, unfamiliar setting. So
Okay.
that's how we actually got the diagnosis. And it was right before he was 4. And that's when we were moving to
To-
Wisconsin, was right at that point.
And when you transitioned and you did that, when you came to Wisconsin, did you guys have to re-engage and do more testing to give more accuracy for the school or the program that he started in?
So we didn't have to do any additional testing. They took the test and the evaluation and the diagnosis that we had. And we started right in early childhood here in Waukesha School District, like the day after we moved. And
Okay.
so we, continued. And then we were able to get a speech therapist who was amazing, Marie Coakley, who Rob was with for 17 years.
Okay.
Um, so that was part of it. So yeah, it was really, really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, you're at your school, so you need to do your thing. It's okay.
Sorry, I
This is real life here. This is real life. So
sorry.
no, no. So that's so good. So if you have to talk to a student, that's perfectly fine.
No, it's all good.
Um, so he started at the schools right away in Waukesha. And did you feel like that went pretty, seamlessly? There wasn't any bumps in that? Or did you feel like possibly some of that testing in Texas wasn't as accurate? He needed more care and more assistance?
So we were just getting into what was autism and all of those,
Mm-hmm.
because honestly, I had no idea. I had been teaching. I had only had one kid with autism through my teaching career, and he
Okay.
didn't present like Rob. So I didn't know a whole lot about it. Internet wasn't where it was,
That's true.
41
Mm-hmm.
years ago. So really, I had to do a lot of legwork, and the school was great. They gave me resources. I met with parents. I got involved in some support groups. So those things really helped along the way. And we started to do biomedical treatments with Rob, meaning we changed Rob's diet to gluten free, casein free, took out a lot of the additives and the food
Okay.
coloring. That really helped him, and he did engage more, and we were hearing more vocalizations, maybe not real words, but he was trying
Okay.
to talk. He also was diagnosed with severe speech apraxia. So his lips and his muscles in his mouth couldn't make the sounds that he needed to, even though his brain was telling him what to do. So it's kind
Really?
of like when people have strokes
Mm-hmm.
and they lose that motor movement in their mouths. Um, Many kids with autism have this speech apraxia, and their muscles aren't getting the clear message from their brain.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Um, so he went throughout that, the duration and obviously had his IEP and we know how that's a whole different podcast episode about IEPs. So he went through that time and you seem as if you were exploring everything. And like you talked about over 20 some years ago, there wasn't all the things that there is now. So what kind of happened as he went through the elementary years and then got into high school? How is it by the time he got into high school? Do you feel like there was a lot more acceptance, awareness, programs?
I think there was, but I think it was because I and other parents were working really hard. I mean, we were
Mm-hmm.
there educating them. Being a teacher myself, I kind of knew what needed to be happening. So I was on the team with the teachers. I will say, as maybe a lot of parents out there know, there were some good years and some not so good
Mm-hmm.
years, depending on the teaching staff and their abilities and their acceptance and their enthusiasm and embracing, all that
Mm-hmm.
comes with having a student in their classroom with autism. We were really blessed in the elementary school, especially second grade. I still remember second grade very vividly. Rob still wasn't talking, and he had an assistant, and he had this amazing second grade teacher at Higher Elementary in Waukesha, Kim
Mm-hmm.
Skorowski. She was phenomenal, and she would meet with me, and she would say, "Don't worry, Robbie, he was Robbie back then. Robbie is doing all that he needs to. He's keeping up with his peers because we have him doing the worksheets on computer. We've got him engaged with the other kids. We're having him in book groups. He's doing this. I mean, truly, he was part of that second grade classroom. And about March, Kim came to me and she said, I don't want you freaking out. She said, but the assistant's not working out. We're going to have to get rid of the assistant, but no worries. I will be assisting Rob at lunch. I will be, she had 20 some other kids in that class.
Oh my goodness.
It was amazing. So he gained so much in that whole elementary experience. He was part of those kids' groups. He would get invited to birthday parties. Usually it was girls' birthday parties, so it was all the girls and Robbie, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Middle school, some good times. Some really I had to fight hard, and I don't want to say fire some people, but that sometimes happens where you're not good for your kids' team, so they're off. And then we school choiced high school, so he did not go to our high school that we can see from our backyard. That I school choiced him to a different high school because they had a better program for Rob. So he did really well. He was in a lot of regular ed classrooms, and he would be even junior year. They couldn't fit it in his schedule, but he went and audited the physics class. And he had a lot of good people supporting him, understanding that he was really smart, and that they were going to work to help him be able to unlock and share what he knew. And at that point, Rob was pretty much nonverbal. He had some limited output words, one words every now and then. It wasn't consistent, but he did go through and do RPM. So that was part of the thing too, was rapid prompting method. Was what it was using after high school. He actually started it at age 18. We didn't know about it. I had no clue about it. But we were able to, Jackie Dorhorst is an RPM certified therapist here in our area. And she was able to come into the school when Rob was a senior and train some people and work with him.
Okay.
He went to Jackie privately, and we haven't looked back with RPM. It's amazing because he might be functionally nonverbal, or I call him minimal verbal because he does have some expressive output, but his preferred mode of communication is RPM, rapid prompting method, on the board. And he's even testified in front of DHS when they were talking about, say, cutting iris a few years ago.
Okay.
He was in front of 300 people in the panel, and he told them why he needed iris and what it did for him. And at the very end, he spelled out, "Don't screw it up." It was amazing.
That is amazing. And I have heard so much about the rapid prompting method. And I know next week we're going to have Jackie on the show. And interestingly, yesterday when I was talking to a father in Alabama, I mean, he's heard a lot about it, but there's just not a lot of people around that do it.
There aren't. And we actually are blessed because there's another therapist, Erica, can't remember Erica's last name. She's up in Green Bay. So we actually have 2 certified RPM people within our state. And I mean certified meaning they were down with Soma, who created RPM. And I think Jackie was down there 2 summers for an internship. And Erica, I think, was down there years working with Soma, being trained and being an intern. And then they both came back to Wisconsin. And we're truly blessed to have them in the area.
Right. When you look at a lot of the services, and the more that I interview and talk to other parents, other facilities that are run in other states, we do have a lot of pluses.
We do.
And having Children's Hospital here and everything, and some of the top-notch doctors, we do have a lot of those things. Now, we always find things that we do need as well. But I think that no matter where you go, that's going to happen. And that's why I think I see a lot of parents that over time sometimes end up moving, depending on their child's condition or whatever it may be, because another area might have something better, another state. So you started with the rapid prompting. That went amazing. And is he carried through that? Now he's 25 now. He started it when he was 18. Is that something that they continue practicing, or that they learn the technique and then they're just able to do it?
No, it's continued. It's definitely continued. And Rob is working on holding the board himself so that someone's not holding the board for him.
Okay.
Some of the kids are transferring it onto iPads because the goal is that they're trying to be independent with their communication.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't always have that trained person, and I highlight trained, holding
Mm-hmm.
the board for the students. And a variety of boards can be used, and Jackie will go through all of that. I'm a real novice on it. I know how to do it with Rob, and Rob and I are a great team. So he's able to communicate effectively, which has been a huge, huge blessing. Just
Mm-hmm.
that he's able to, and it's effective communication. It's not just one or two words of what he wants or he needs. No, he can tell you. He's very, and what's really cool is he's got a very strong faith in God, and he writes these amazing prayers and just motivational things for people,
Mm-hmm.
which is very cool.
That is very cool. Now, obviously, just this short journey of 20 minutes that you've taken us on, we know that you have been through the ups, downs, and seen so much. So what brought you to the point that you said, I want to be the founder and establish this college? Where did that come in? Was that when he finished high school?
So it
And
was when he was finishing high school, and he was planning and did try the transition program that we had
Mhm.
in the district. Just was not a good match for him. And so he only was in there about 4 months. So prior to that, I kind of had that feeling like we do, right, as moms,
Mhm.
that maybe that's not going to be the best match. What else could he be doing? And also, many of these transition programs only go until age 21. Well,
Right.
we don't want our kids who have worked so tirelessly and so hard and have made so many gains that at the age of 21 fall off the cliff and are home like on the couch and not being engaged and not doing all the things that
Mhm.
they have been doing the past 21 years or
Right.
however many years in school. So I really was searching what was out there, and I didn't find anything. So I actually co-founded. So the other co-founder was Chris LaRose, and she was program director here at WILC for about a year and 3 months. So we co-founded together,
Okay.
and we had decided early on that there needed to be a program for specifically students ages 18 and above with autism that wanted to continue to learn and impact the lives of others as well as their own. So a lot of times with volunteering and all of those kind of things, our students can really make a difference in their lives, but also the lives of others.
And how does that process work if someone's watching this and they want to learn more about the school, or if their child would be a good fit, for them as, as them as a family, or you guys as a school establishment?
Right. So a couple different ways. One, we do have open houses. We usually have them twice a year. We had one last month in March. We'll probably have one in September or October. Our Facebook page, which is just Wisconsin Independent Learning College, is a great way to see what our students are doing. We have pictures of students that are out working because we do have a vocational instructor here on staff, and she's working really hard to get our students out using DVR, Division of Vocational
Hmm.
Rehabilitation. So that's one of the pieces. So if people want to know more about us, Facebook is where we keep the most up-to-date things. We do have a website. I will be brutally honest. It needs to be updated like 3 months, 8 months ago. So we do have a website. And then we also, people can call or email and get more information about us.
Okay. And there is that process that we kind of chatted about before, that they go through the application process, but there's a lot of them coming in as well and seeing the facility, and you guys seeing the student, and kind of up and back to make sure that it's very harmonious if it is a match.
Right. So what we do is on our website, there is a place for an online application. So it's just basic information. So once that's done, then we ask the families to send like IEPs or documentation, maybe reports from different doctors and those kind of things. Then we also call the parents and do like a student profile. So we get even more information about the student. And along the way, we're sharing about WILC and what we're all about and what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's still looking like it's a good match, then we have the parents come in for a short tour, maybe 15, 20 minutes, just kind of see what the place looks like, things that are going on. And then Terry Johnson is the executive director, and she and I, or one of us, will go and meet with the parents to answer any questions, to talk, more specific about what we do. And then if it still looks like it's a good match, then we'll schedule the student to come for a little tour visit, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Now, some of our students, the new students, we actually have them come when students aren't here. So they just see the facility. So they're not overwhelmed by everything that's going on with students and those kind of things. So we're very careful about how we bring in new students so that that new student can be successful. But also we have to think about our current students who are here and our staff to make sure that the transition is as smooth and successful as possible.
That's a wonderful route to go, because as we know, you don't ever want to submerge yourself and think something's going to be a fit and then find out that it was not.
Right. And when new students do start, we usually have them only start like an hour or two a week.
Okay.
And then gradually increase to a half a day, maybe 2 half days. And gradually we get up to maybe 2 days a week.
Okay.
And then after they're here a while and we see, what skills they need, what skills they have, the different activities that we're doing on different days, and also our student staff ratio, then we plug them in for longer times. But it's always a team. So we work with the student, we work with the parents, we work with our staff to make sure that it's a really good fit.
Now, what is the duration? It's a day program, but the kids can go it goes Monday through Friday?
It does. So we are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4. And we do have students coming and going at different times if they have like therapy appointments or, those kind of things. So many of our students come 9 to 3 on certain days. We only have 1 or 2 students that come 5 days a week. We don't have a lot. Usually students come between 2 and 3 days a week.
Okay. And then do you do any transition or work with the DVR to, if let's say they have 1 day a week that they go to a job of some sort that does kind of that transition transport, they get dropped off and then come back to the school?
We do. So let's talk a little bit about DVR and vocational with WILC.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, we are a DVR vendor. So
Mm-hmm.
our students can choose us as their DVR vendor. And then Susie Thomas, our vocational instructor, kind of takes over from there. And she's amazing at job carving for our students. So she talks to our students about what they want to be doing. And we're talking long term, not just like want to work at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to be in a job that they want to be in, like a career. Not just because there's a job open, is that going to be a good match for someone?
Right.
So she really works hard to find out their interests, their strengths, what they really want to do. And then she goes out into the community and she finds businesses that are open to having a student come for a work experience that have those jobs, or she goes in and finds out job carving. So she looks at what they do and looks at, well, one of our students could do this job and this job. And so she's done that with several of our students. We have, I believe, 6 that have gone through the DVR process and have been hired. So they're no longer in DVR, but they're hired by the companies and they're out actively working part-time. But we do provide job coaches as well. That's one of our things that we do. Because we want to make sure that those students have the support they need to be successful, because we know they have a lot of skills and they're able to do a lot of things that maybe people don't understand that they're able to do. Mm-hmm. So by giving them the right tools, they're going to be successful.
That's so wonderful, because as we had this conversation way back when we talked about, once the kids, so many of them, they transition out of that high school age and then some of those other after programs after the age of 21 and getting involved with the DVR. Sometimes it can just be such a struggle to find even job coaches, such a struggle to find third party places that are looking for the jobs, for your young adult. And so your school having that all kind of encompassed in there, I think that that's just amazing.
Thanks. It's been a
Amazing.
lot of hard work and a lot of passion, but it's amazing when you see how far our students have come and the progress they're making, and still what they still have to learn. I mean, there's a lot that we all have to learn, and one of our great things is we go out and volunteer. So we take some students to the Hope Center. Like right now, we have 2 students out at the Hope Center working in the clothes closet. And we also, every third Monday, I take a student with me with our church, St. John's Lutheran Church, to serve a lunch meal. So they help prepare it and then they serve it. And we also work with the food pantry, and we package laundry soap in individual bags, and then those get given out at Hope Center and the food pantry. But our students do that. They also package diaper wipes and diapers in birthday bags for the food pantry. So we're all about how can we help give back to the community. So if there are people watching right now that know of organizations that have things that we could bring in to have our students do to help others, like even mailings or those kind of things, or packaging
Right.
things on a volunteer basis, we would love it, because that gives our students skills that can hopefully go on to make them more employable.
Right. Yes, definitely. I'm going to drop something under here about that as well. Kind of
Great.
break this down so somebody can see that. Now, as the both of us, we've both been in the couple of decades now of taking care of our kiddos. And so what resources in your autistic community would you say have been extremely beneficial to you over the time, or you've seen that they've helped other families in a great way?
So the first one, and you mentioned you're going to have Jackie Dorhorst
Hmm.
on next week. So RPM, rapid prompting method with Jackie and her associates, have been invaluable. It's amazing how our students and our kids have so much locked up inside of them, and they may not be able to verbally express, but so many of them can use the tool of RPM to help communicate effectively. So that's one source. Another organization that's really near and dear to our hearts at my house is Friends of Autism. So they're a grassroots organization that was founded, I don't know, 15, 18 years ago by Karen and John Sauer. And it's really grown, and they do a lot to educate people. They have family grants. They do a lot with giving money for research and different avenues that's really going to help um, bring more action to the autism, right? So we talk
Okay.
about autism awareness. I always say we need to be autism action. We're aware enough, at least as
Hmm.
parents of kids with autism. We need to really heighten it up. And instead of blue, I like red, because we are in high alert. We need to be really figuring out about how we can help our kids with autism, and all of that goes into it.
That is great. So I will drop both of those um, Facebook connections as well as websites and stuff below.
And
But
one more, Tammy,
okay,
Autism
perfect.
Pieces is an awesome organization co-founded by Cindy Schultz and Kathy. And Kathy, I'm so sorry, forget your last name. But they're awesome, and they also do a lot with fundraising, and also they give grants out to families for things that are not normally covered by insurance or those kind of things. So that's another awesome organization in our area that people really need to know about, and also hopefully can help with the
The
fundraising.
autism solution pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, and they will actually be visiting with us later next week too. So to hear more about them, definitely tune in for that. So Stephanie, I am going to drop all the information about the Wisconsin Independent Learning College below. and all the resources for people to get a hold of you. But I think that you are just an invaluable treasure and resource here in our state and in our community.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
And, something I always say, I mean, sometimes our pain and struggles and whatnot lead us to our greater purpose. And so sometimes things happen to us. Things are happening, things happen to us for a greater reason. And clearly, when you see that this amazing facility has been put together, we know why that is. And so I thank you for all that you do for the community.
Oh, thanks, Tammy. I appreciate it. And I know you do a lot for so many people, so I appreciate you having me on your program. It's awesome.
And is there any words that you could, I always like to leave with like a last word or a last thought from the individuals that are on, or maybe even just one key note that you could give that you think would be useful for people or for them to always remember. Like mine is always, you're in this for the long run.
Yeah.
So you need to be patient. There's nothing that is going to be completely solved tomorrow. You're going to be doing this forever. So grab your Nikes and be ready for the long run. So
I think as hard as things can be, we always have to look for the positives. What I have learned in my own journey, and especially in the last year and a half, is every day is precious. And we really need to make every day count because tomorrow's not a given. And I always tell people to try to do one act of kindness to make a difference in someone's life each day, because you don't know what that person or the shoes that person is walking in is. And that's how I view things a lot now is I don't know what your shoes are. I know what my shoes are and how I'm walking in my shoes, but I don't know. So when I get crabby people or, whatever, because we run into those quite regularly. And sometimes we are the crabby people. I always am like, okay, well, I don't know what shoes you're walking in. So I need to give you grace. I think that's another thing that I like is that we need to give people grace because that's important.
Right. And we're all in this together. And I think too, that things that are not available to us as parents, we need to go out there and advocate and create them. I think that sometimes we want to get so frustrated. Well, it's not available. It's not here. Well, it's not going to be here unless we all come together and we create it.
Right. And that's how UILC was born. Absolutely.
So on that, I'm going to lead you because obviously your students, they were it was so cute. They peeked in a couple times in the window. It was adorable.
I didn't even think about putting like a little note on the door, like busy,
I know, but you're very sought after. You're very sought after. So, on that note, I hope everybody has a fabulous Thursday. If you want to check out any of our podcasts, YouTube tutorial videos, or any of our social media applications, just go to www.onairadvocate.com. And like I said, I will drop all of Stephanie and the college's information below and all of the other resources. So with that, let's all hope that the sun stays out. No more snow, right? And you all have a fabulous Thursday. Thanks so much for tuning in. God bless.